Whew, it is so incredibly hot out today. I've been bitten by rattlesnakes, metaphorically. Ever since I filmed my video on the eastern diamondback rattlesnakes, I've been going crazy looking for more venomous snakes. And where I live in Central Florida, the most common venomous snake species is the Pygmy Rattlesnake. I have spent days in the woods looking for them, and I've done my research. It's the right time of year, I'm in the right habitat, and checking all of their favorite hiding places. Under logs, palm fronds, and twig piles. But no pygmies. This goes beyond just bad luck on a bad day. It's like they're all missing. But I just came across a post on Instagram by UCF biologist Jenna about a new parasite that's decimating pygmy rattlesnake populations right here in Central Florida. I need to know what's going on, so we're heading over to UCF to talk with her. Jenna, thank you so much for meeting with me. I have seen your picture with these parasites that are next to this pygmy rattlesnake, and can you tell me a little bit more about what's going on here?
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a female pygmy rattlesnake that was infected with 10 invasive snake lungworms. So that's Rattlesnake orientalis. And what we're seeing across Florida, Central and South Florida, is that this parasite is contributing to major declines in pygmy rattlesnake locations.
Okay, we need to stop and talk through what we're looking at here, because it definitely doesn't look like it can kill a rattlesnake, but it can. In fact, these did. They're here in Jenna's lab because Jenna herself plucked them out of a dead pygmy's lungs. An important part of Jenna's work is monitoring how many wild pygmies have this pentastome parasite. How did they even get here? I'm sure you've heard about the invasive Burmese pythons that are a huge problem in South Florida right now. But you may not have heard about the even bigger problem that they brought with them, a parasitic lungworm called a pentastome. It's not actually a worm, it's a crustacean, and it's also one of the oldest parasites known to science, entering the fossil record around the Cambrian era. And they look basically the same now as they did 500 million years ago, probably because they managed to become the worst parasite imaginable on their first try. Here's a quick list of some terrible things about them. They live in the lungs, already terrifying. They're crustaceans, so they have an outer shell that they molt periodically in your lungs. They only have to breed once to be able to fertilize their eggs for the rest of their lives, which can be 6 years long. They don't cause any external symptoms, so the only way to detect them are with a fecal sample to look for their eggs or an endoscopy to literally search the lungs for them. There's no kind of medicine to treat them. The only cure is to have them surgically extracted, one by one. They're pretty much the perfect parasite, which is why just about every type of animal you can think of has its own pentastome, including humans. There's evidence that this parasite might even be able to infect and hurt our cats and dogs. Rattlesnake orientalis specifically infects large snakes like Burmese pythons, and while the pythons themselves haven't been spreading far past South Florida, their parasites have. They're already here in Central Florida, infecting native snakes by the thousands. This is especially bad for pygmy rattlesnakes. They've got no immunities, no adaptations, and they're tiny snakes, never more than 2 feet long. So when a lungworm from one of the largest snakes in the world infects one of the smallest venomous snakes in the world, it's going to end very, very badly. Jenna and her team have identified 18 native snake species infected so far. Most die with dozens of pentastomes in their lungs, but pygmies never have more than 10. Some of them have just one, and their loss hasn't gone unnoticed.
And so at one of those populations, we do see the severe decline of, we used to be able to find about 30 snakes in a day, and now we find maybe one with the same amount of effort. A lot of the declines are more anecdotal of people just going out and being like, I used to be able to find so many pygmies, and now I can't.
Which brings us to today. I'll be joining Jenna and her assistant Jasmine on a field survey to look for pygmies. The plan is pretty straightforward. Hike up to a hammock near some wetlands that Jenna's been surveying for months. If we find a pygmy, we'll do a workup on it to find out if the snake might be carrying these pentastomes, as well as collect some data on the individual snake. Remember, there's not yet any kind of treatment for snakes infected with the parasite, so the next best thing is to track the spread of infection in the population, which is why field surveys like this are so crucial. It's a beautiful spring day, and this time of year is probably the best weather we get in Florida. The fresh air, the sunshine, and hopefully snakes. It's a great day to be outside looking for critters. After a bit of hiking, we cross the bridge into Jenna's field site and start hunting for snakes. After over an hour of searching, Jenna finally finds our first snake of the day.
There's one right there.
Oh, look at that.
It's a pygmy. But before I point it out to you, I'm gonna give you a chance to see if you can spot the snake. Do you see it? It's right there, curled up into an ambush position. This little snake is making the most of its cryptic camouflage coloration to blend right in. This snake might stay in this position for days on end while waiting for something tasty to come by. We hop a portion of the fence to get closer. As long as we don't get too near to the snake, we can safely observe it up close. Jenna snaps a few photos for identification purposes. It could be a new individual for her research. While Jenna and Jasmine get a few things ready to work up the snake, I'm taking my opportunity to finally see this little viper up close.
Now this is the dusky pygmy rattlesnake. This is a subspecies of the pygmy rattlesnake that's native to Central Florida, and this is the one that's considered the most common rattlesnake, the most common snake in all of Florida. On the end of her tail is a little teeny tiny rattle, and she's not even using it right now. So this snake doesn't perceive me as a threat of any kind right now. She is totally camouflaged, and you can see just how tiny she is. And all of that different coloration that she has, the spotting, the stripes, all of that is cryptic coloration to help her blend in. And this is a difficult snake to spot. There's also other examples of camouflage. You probably didn't even notice the grasshopper sitting right over here next to us. You are so gorgeous. It's so cool being this close to a viper like this, and I can see the iridescence on her cheek as well. What a beautiful little snake.
Jenna lets me know that she's ready, and she steps in to safely tube the snake so we can collect samples. First up is the snake's body temperature. Since its head is stuck in a tube, I'll let you guess where we're sticking the thermometer. A quick scan from her tag scanner comes back negative, meaning that this is a new snake that Jenna's never seen before. Jasmine points out that our snake seems to be showing signs of snake fungal disease, which could be its own separate video. But basically, it's a fungal infection that snakes get in their skin and scales. In order to test it, Jenna runs a swab up and down our little pygmy. The snake does not like this and lets us know by finally rattling her tiny little tail.
So quiet.
Our next order of business is to test if our pygmy might be carrying the parasite. And you know what? I'm just gonna let Jenna explain how to do this.
The animals, they usually become anorexic, so they'll stop eating, they'll lose a lot of weight, they'll become dehydrated, but in the field that could be signs of so many different things, so it's kind of hard to tell. And so in the field, what we do to detect infection in live snakes is we use fecal samples, and if we can't get a fecal sample, we have a backup sample where we swab the cloaca and hopefully pick up eggs.
To get the fecal sample to test for the parasite, Jenna is gently trying to coerce the snake into pooping on her glove for a sample. But we're not getting any feces, so we have to swab her cloaca and, I don't know if I'm allowed to show this. Oh, but it's already over. Mission accomplished. Because this snake has never been seen for the project, Jenna needs to put a pit tag in it. This isn't any different than the kind of tag that your vet might have put inside of your cat or dog. It allows Jenna to quickly tell this snake apart from the other pygmies in the area. Jenna quickly and expertly embeds the tag, a quick test to make sure it works, and our little snake is ready for the next part of the workup. After a few more measurements are taken, Jenna adds a little dot of nail polish to the snake's tail. This helps her team quickly ID one of their snakes, and we're almost done. Only thing left is to put our snake in what's called the squeeze box, which allows Jenna to more accurately measure the snake. She places our little pygmy into a plastic bag, which reminds me of something.
You know, whenever you were a kid and you'd go get a fish from the store and they'd hand it to you in a bag? Well, this is a little different.
Holding this snake in a bag is one thing, but Jenna retubes the snake and gives me a chance to hold it myself. And you know I'm not gonna turn down the chance to hold an animal this cute. And just a quick reminder for you not to handle venomous snakes unless you have the proper training like Jenna and I. So I know I said this with the Eastern Diamondback Rattlesnake, is that it is absolutely incredible how soft they are, and even through the gloves, I can feel how soft her scales are. They have kind of a soft, velvety texture. She's looking right at me, and she looks very angry, which is normal for a pit viper, especially whenever they're being handled. But you can see her little tail is not even rattling. And this is such a pleasure This is so cool to be holding a snake like this, to be holding a pygmy rattlesnake, a dusky pygmy rattlesnake. You might have noticed that photography is really important to Jenna's work. Because so many science programs frequently lack adequate funding, one way that Jenna funds her research is by selling her photographs. They're really good. So good that I purchased a few of them for myself, including this one that I'd like to give away to you, my viewers. If you want a chance to win a framed copy of this gorgeous snake photo, leave a comment below. When the video hits 1,000 views, I'll choose one comment at random and send it to you. If you don't win, it's okay. There's another way you can support her work. Jenna and many other biologists have a lot of work to do to figure out just how far the parasite will spread. In order to coordinate with other scientists and standardize testing methods, Jenna created a group called the Snake Lungworm Alliance and Monitoring Network, aka SLAM. SLAM acts as a nexus of researchers, land managers, local government, and citizen scientists that conduct opportunistic surveillance for the invasive snake lungworm all across Florida. They've documented 11 new counties with infections. SLAM aims to assess the prevalence and intensity of the pentastome in snake communities and to characterize the conservation concerns it poses for native animals like snakes, amphibians, and lizards that it may affect. Given its broad range of host species and its presence in the pet trade, expanding the SLAM network remains imperative to figuring out how to beat the parasite and protect our precious pygmies.
So, I'm Zak Cole.
I'm Jenna Palmisano.
This is the Dusky Pygmy Rattlesnake, and thanks for checking out what makes Florida so wild.
I want to give a huge thank you to Jenna and Jasmine for taking myself and my cameraman Zach out to look for pygmies. There's a link to SLAM and Jenna's work down in the description. And another special thanks to my friend David and my partner Rhea for their help on this project. If you want to see that video where I adopted a diamondback rattlesnake, click here. Be sure to comment on the video for a chance to win that framed photo. And of course, like and subscribe for more, and I'll catch you on our next adventure.